Hi guys, I'm live. We're live. Boo Kitty, look. My fiercely private little Boo Kitty and I were just sitting here hanging out. Look, she's not gonna last long, but she wanted to come on and say hi. Did she want to say hi? She says, "I am one prepared for disasters. Kitties, I live at the beach. Okay, no more." And she says, "We have had to deal with disasters more often than we like," and she knows all about it. So she's hanging out for today's conversation, the very rare Boo Kitty sighting. Guys, jump on, say hi, tell me where you're from, tell me where you're watching, who's your kitties. Look, you guys, Boo's hanging out today. She's gonna hate this. Hi, Boo, say hi. You guys, if you know Boo Kitty, she never makes appearances. She's been in a pretty good mood though lately. And I told her we were talking disasters. We're talking disasters? Oh man, she says, "I'm a beach kitty and I have lived through all the hurricanes, all the tornadoes." Okay. Oh my goodness. She is familiar. So we're talking about disaster preparedness today. Say hi to me. I see you guys coming in. Ask your questions. Hey, Bree. Hey, Auntie. Hi from Mexico. I love that. We love that we are international. We have international cat lovers. Hey, Catherine. You guys jump on, tell me hi. This is a great place to ask your questions. So Catherine, you're in Sonoma Valley. My California people, this is why we're here today. I don't know if you know, but Basepaws is offering free coaching sessions with me if you are evacuating, if you are having an emergency right now because of our friends in California and it's scary and I'm worried about you guys and we're sending you all of our love and letting you know that if you are affected by a disaster, I am here for you. We will coach you and get your cats through it. Hi, Christine in Alaska. I love that. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Teresa. It's so good you guys are here getting ready for disaster preparedness. So most of you guys know I live at the beach. We're always doing hurricanes here. We're doing tornadoes when we're doing hurricanes. And last month, we even had a hurricane and a earthquake in the same week. So that's crazy. That was a lot. So the thing about it is when you have pets is evacuating and getting out becomes an entirely different situation than just leaving with people. I do have the honor and the experience of working with the ASPCA disaster response team. They used to be called the Field Investigation Response Team. So I've responded to a lot of disasters, and we have responded to the fires in California. Wendy, I hope you're safe in Sonoma, like Catherine. We're thinking about you. I know it's smoky and awful out there right now. And I've done a lot of disaster work, and it really truly can be terrifying if you're not ready. It's terrifying anyway, but when you're ready and you're prepared and you feel like you can be empowered, this is the way you're going to get out the quickest. And so today we're talking about being prepared for disasters, and we're talking about how to keep your pets safe through that time. So let's jump in. Questions thrown down there in the chat box. I will get to you. Make sure we get whatever your questions are answered. Again, one more time, I just want to say, because there are so many of you coming on right now, Basepaws is offering free coaching to anyone who is having to evacuate from California because of the fires, or if you guys were by any chance affected with the hurricanes, anything like that. We're offering free coaching to your cats to help you make smooth transitions and, to make sure your cats are okay. Titan wants to tell you guys hello. Hi. Say, hey, everybody, be prepared for disasters. Prepared for disasters. He says, we're a champ at that. So number one, first foremost thing. Hey, Karen and Judy, thanks for being here, you guys. Hi, Nadia, all the way from Croatia. A whole other set of disasters over there. I'm not sure about it in other countries and in other parts of the world. So if I miss something that you deal with and it's something I don't touch on, let me know, okay? So first and foremost, I always say to people, pictures. Please have a picture of your cat, and I mean a good one. So often, if you look through your phone for a picture of your cat, it's like them playing or curled up sleeping or covering their little face doing amazingly adorable things. However, we don't get to see their faces. We don't get to see their markings. Anything that is special to your cat, that's a marking, a good face on, good from the side, if you have special markings, if they have scars. So Blue Kitty has a little scar on her shoulder here. Those are incredibly important things to know, okay? Because if, heaven forbid, we got separated, I would be able to put up posters with a good current picture of my cat. Not like, oh, she's a kitten, she's 4 now, but we can't age progress our cat pictures. So I always feel like that's one of the most important things that I find people are just like, I just don't have a good picture. Microchips, 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 microchips. I can't say this enough. Microchip your pets, microchip your cats, and then keep them up to date. As a veterinary technician, I cannot tell you guys how many times we have had lost pets come into the clinic, and we scan them, and there's a microchip, and you're like, yes. And you call the company and they're like, it's never been registered, there's no information, or you call the phone number and it's been disconnected. In this day and age of cell phones, we tend to keep our cell phones, right? Even when we move. So keep these up to date, please, please, please. Because again, if you're separated, this is gonna be how us as professionals, the shelters, make sure that you and your cat are reunited. It's also proof of ownership. So microchips and pictures are my baseline, but it's like everyday emergency preparedness. So this is like what I want you guys to always have ready, always have good to go, and be ready with pictures and updated microchips. Now, speaking specifically about disasters, we've got 2 different situations, and one of them is evacuating disasters and the other is hunkering down disasters. And so some of them have some crossover, but some of them are a little different. So first and foremost, when we're talking about evacuation, there's a couple things. Number one, please know first and foremost where the pet-friendly emergency shelters are in your area. So pet-friendly sheltering is actually a law now, thanks to Katrina, because there were thousands of people who indicated after Katrina that they didn't evacuate because they had nowhere to go with their pets and they were not willing to leave their pets behind. So because of this, there has been legislation enacted that there is pet-friendly shelters everywhere for everyone. You just have to find them. So number one, know where they are. Number two, have your vaccine records on hand, ready to go. I say keep a whole copy in your emergency supplies. Keep a copy in your first aid kit and a copy in your emergency supplies. And honestly, we all have phones in the cloud now, so just take a picture, keep it in the cloud. Because again, if you have to get into a shelter somewhere, if you have to get into a boarding facility, anything like that, you want to show that the rabies, of course, and then any needed vaccines are up to date and current. So you're not having to try to deal with that or you're getting turned away because you don't have up-to-date vaccines. So keeping that in mind, keeping copies where you know you're going to have quick access to them and you're not going to be like, oh man, they're in a filing box somewhere that you can just grab and go. It's going to be really important, especially for these times where we're having to really get out and get out fast. So speaking of getting out and getting out fast, there's the transportation issue. The number one mistake I see people do is take their cat carriers and keep them in an attic or in the garage or the basement, somewhere that there's going to be like no smell they're familiar with, cobwebs, leaves, just nothing that gives them a sense of comfort. So carriers should always be kept somewhere in the house, somewhere that your cats can get their scent incorporated. Maybe if you don't keep them in the house all the time, especially with hurricanes, we know they're coming, move them into the house. The best thing you can do is keep these carriers in the house where cats have positive associations. So throw a few treats or toys in there and get your cat comfortable and acclimated to the carrier so that when it gets time to be in a carrier and go, you don't have a problem. Now, in emergencies like house fires, things like that, I have seen times where people are, just a little bit, unprepared and obviously scattered and scared. So I have seen pillowcases used as well in super, super, super emergencies to grab cats and get out safe. They won't hurt themselves in a pillowcase. You can tie it off. They can breathe through it. It's a quick option if you need to get out of the house in case of a fire or something that you can't just carry your cat outside, obviously, but you need to get out faster. Then it's going to be a matter of putting them in a carrier and making them feel at home. If you have the time and you know they're going to have to be in a carrier and we have the carrier in the house and we have scent orientation, great. The best thing we can next do if we have to move them to try to reduce stress is to make sure the carrier contains their scent. So throw some blankets or a kitty bed in there And then pheromone sprays. I cannot emphasize pheromone sprays enough when we're having to transport our pets. Now, they don't work for every single cat every single time. We know that. But they do work for most of the cats I've seen most of the time. Now, you're going to have the best experience with these if you can get your cat acclimated to the scent before the stress happens. A little bit hard in case of emergencies, but something to think about. For me, my carriers stay in the house. They have a packet of pheromone scent on the little pop-out tops. So I have a packet with me all the time, as well as a couple treats. So I can just kind of toss it in there, wipe down the carrier, do what I need to do, and get my kitties out and safe. Now, we practice this a lot because of tornadoes in this area. So whenever there's a tornado warning, we get everybody in their carriers and we get them to our safe place so that we know if the worst does happen, we're fully prepared and we're ready. So, so we've talked about a lot of things so far. So we've talked about pictures, keeping your microchips up to date, making sure you have those ready, making sure that you have vaccine records, always up to date, current vaccine records, very handy, okay? Then we've talked a little bit about transporting because we know that that can be stressful time for pets. When we get to where we're going, so shelters are going to be stressful experiences no matter what. If your pet happens to have that blanket that smells from home, it's going to be helpful depending on how they're housed. So in my experience, when we worked in Harvey, we were down in Dallas at the Superdome, and the people were separated from their pets. So the pets were housed over in the parking deck. We were there taking care of them in a shelter-like situation, a temporary shelter, while the people were over in the Superdome. So there are some shelters where you may have a pop-up carrier you can keep with you. The point is that you don't necessarily know what's going to happen when you get where you're going to go. So my point is you might not get those blankets back. You might not get those towels back. Make sure that that's not your cat's like one and only whoopee that you put in that carrier in case of that emergency situation. Again, calming treats, calming foods, pheromone sprays are things that are transportable. They can go with you. And so as you're seeking shelter, as you're maybe having to stay with friends and family, you can help keep your cat calm. You can acclimate them to the area. Most importantly, though, we're going to keep them safe. So the next thing we kind of talk about is that whole sheltering in place thing. So if you don't evacuate, you have to have a plan to be safe and safe in your home. And the biggest mistake I see people make when it comes to this is not having enough food and water supplies for their pets and themselves throughout the emergency. So true disaster preparedness is going to say have enough food and water for every member of your house and every pet in your house for 2 whole weeks. Now, I know a lot of people say 5 days. Like 5 days to me is absolute bare minimum. But to be safe, we say absolutely up to 2 weeks. I know here we can be out of power after hurricanes up to 2 weeks, but I've also seen this happen after ice storms up north, after blizzards. So everyone has their type of emergency, and running out of water or running out of food for your pet is a terrible situation to be in. And we end up getting ourselves into dangerous situations. A couple other things to think about. When we do have power outages, and no matter where you live, we can deal with thermic issues. So another thing you want to be thinking about in the sense of a disaster is your pet too hot? Is your pet too cold? So if you have a pet housed and you have the power go out, or you are somewhere like the South and a hurricane comes and there's no air conditioning, it can easily reach 100 degrees in our houses. And so for us, we want to make sure that we are able to temperature regulate, keep an eye on our pets, and just be aware of heat stroke, be aware of hypothermia, and again, have those supplies in hand for your pets. Whatever you're planning to need for yourself, you absolutely want to make sure you have for your pet. Now, I'm a huge fan of leash walking. You guys all know that. But I think leash walking and a cat who is oriented to a leash, there is no better time than an emergency, because a lot of times we can get that harness on and get out, or if we end up having to stay in a hotel, we can walk our cats. We have a lot more freedom of mobility. So cats that are well socialized, that have a lot of brain games and experience, you absolutely want to make sure that you are keeping them stimulated in these areas so that you don't run into problems. Another great thing to have for cats, again, if you're having to stay in place or evacuate out, is disposable litter pans. Now, Judy makes a really great point here, and this is medications. medications for you, medications for your pet are going to be very essential. And again, this is whether you're evacuating out or if you're staying home and you're not going to be able to get to your veterinary clinic. And one of the most important things I can ask you to do is to not wait until the very last minute, because a lot of people do that, and you do run the risk of not getting your meds filled. I do love to keep a couple days stashed in an emergency place just in case. It's also a good idea to have a written prescription from your veterinarian in case of emergency that you can keep in your emergency kit as well. So if you end up getting somewhere and you don't have contact with your veterinarian, you can at least get those prescriptions filled at a local veterinary hospital, or you can call them into a pet medication filling service. So throw me those questions. I want to hear your experiences. Tell me, what are you guys the worst worried about, and how can I help prepare you for those types of things? A couple other things around just being prepared for disasters. One of my biggest fears has always been not being home and having there be power outages, fires, anything like that that can happen to our pets while we're home and not here. So I am a big fan of having, honestly, water alerts, temperature alerts in the security system. So be thinking about the emergencies that could happen with your pets when you're not at the house that could actually cause problems for your pets while you're out. All in all, the last, I guess, very important thing I would just talk to you a little bit about, and it's so hard to talk about, it's just a little bit morbid, is first aid. Okay, so I just want everybody to be aware of first aid preparedness and being able to handle just minor cuts, bruises, scratches, scrapes, burns on your pets, and being aware of just having the supplies to treat them very simply, very quickly. Because what we know is in cases of emergencies and major disasters, it can be really hard to get medical help and medical treatment. And we know that humans are prioritized as they should be, but our poor little kitties, our pets are not going to be taken care of as readily. Another thing that I want to make sure you guys have ready to go is going to be emergency numbers. And I have had situations where we've been on vacation where a hurricane come and we had to have emergency friends, family pick up our pets from the boarding facility. So also just making sure your emergency network is really set, the call trees are in place, because there's no worse time than in the middle of an emergency. So you guys have some questions coming in so I can make this more personalized for you. Teresa's saying she tried to leash walk the cats and they hated it. So cats don't necessarily love being put on a leash first thing, and it can be really overwhelming. So the first thing I tell folks is to start with just the harness and to feed and give toys and treats and playtime in the leash and the harness so they can just learn that they're not going to die. If you think about dog training, we just tell them, put the collar, put the leash on, and let them walk around the house so they learn that the leash isn't scary. It's very similar for cats. So just let them start by eating with the harness on, playing with the harness on. When they're comfortable with that, you can attach the leash to it as well. The other thing about going outside is a lot of times people just plop them down in the front yard. And again, that can be really overwhelming. So we want to do small, slow introductions. Sit out on the porch for a little bit first and just let them adapt. Cats take a little while to adapt. And so what you are interpreting as hating it might just be being uncomfortable and feeling a little overwhelmed. So keep the space pretty small if you can. Joanna's saying she's most worried about disasters in the middle of the night, fires, tornadoes, and not being able to find her cat. Joanna, I get you so much. So when the emergency alarms start going off, and we know that this could be an issue, we lock everybody up in a room and they get mad, but they're just going to have to stay in there so we know where we can find them. A great point to that is training. So when with dog training, we teach what's called it's going to be a solid recall. A lot of people will use just any random word like surprise or something you don't use a lot in every single day. And when that happens, when they say that word, treats just fly everywhere, party flies everywhere. So this is a safety issue. This is when you're headed for the road and there's a car coming or you slipped off a leash. And I have a solid recall that is going to result in the most positive thing ever could possibly happen in the world. So that's what you do. You get them trained. I can't say enough about Churu. I mean, I can get my cats in the house to do anything. So ring a bell, Pavlov, right? Ring a bell, have a little click, 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 or For Titan, it's kitty, kitty, kitty. If I do that, he knows food is in he'll come running. Oh, here comes Boo. They'll come running because they know if I give them the kitty, 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 something good is going to happen. I'm going to have to give them something good now so that they don't think I'm lying. Look, they're both marching in here. You hear them yelling? Because they know, kitty, 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 kitty. You show everybody I'm not lying. Show everybody if I say kitty, kitty, here's my boy, right? Because he says, that's not food, that's kisses. Because they know, I'll get you some, don't worry. They know something good is coming no matter what when I do that. That is how you're going to get them to you in case of a serious emergency. And if you practice this enough, it does become muscle memory. So even if they are a little bit scared or hiding, a lot of times it can break that mental and they'll just come straight to you. So enforce a recall with your cats. They are super, super trainable. Find the food they love. For my cats, it's churro and whipped cream. They are coming every single time. I'm never going to miss being able to get a hold of them. So I hope that helps you, Johanna, have a little bit of peace of mind. Lauren says she's got 3 cats, and they've got 3 cats, and the biggest fear there is if there was a fire, how do you safely gather them all fast enough so you can get out? Okay, so this is where we talk a little bit about comfort versus dying. Okay, so again, I'm talking blankets, pillowcase, if you have to get we just want to get them in something and get them out. Again, it's why in my house, we have carriers in their rooms. I know that I can recall them, but honestly, if there's a fire, I can't tell you that I wouldn't just, I hate to say this, but just scruff one of them and get outside and throw them in a car. I don't know because I haven't had that experience, but I run that scenario through my head a lot. If I couldn't get to their carriers, what would I do? In cases of tornadoes, and this is another hard one. We have said in case of a very, very, very terrible, serious emergency, they'd go in the washer and dryer, obviously empty and turned off. But because these are really solid, devices that are going to be held down, and we know that our cats could at least be safe. I guess we'd have to write cat inside. I don't know, but we've talked about it. A lot of this is like what would work for you. Who's in your house? Who do you have to work with? And again, for me, it's that really solid recall. Another thing that's going to be important too for you guys is just knowing where your cats hide. If they're scared, where would you find them? But this is the worst. And as a veterinary technician, I have to say, I'm not trying to play to your fears, guys, but house fires are really bad for pets. And we do see, in fact, if you listen to my podcast, Making Sense of Pets, my co-host actually has a cat right now who was in a house fire who had smoke inhalation damage. So she's actually bottle raising that kitty right now because of house fires. So I hate to say it, house fires are terrifying, and it is something you guys want to be on track for. I'm reading Kathleen here too, who's saying the same thing. She says, I have a half a dozen cats. My fear is not being able to see them. And this is the other thing, guys, okay? When it comes to emergencies, this is why we're talking about microchips and pictures too, because if it comes down to it, you just open those doors and you just let those cats out. It is not an ideal situation. You have a better chance of getting your cats back from the neighbors or from a bush than you do from inside of a house fire. So if you absolutely have to, and it's the least case scenario you've got, just leave everything open. I can say, when I have, I see your question, Rachel. I'll get down there too for sure. The other thing I do want to say to you guys is the ASPCA is a great resource for everything you guys know. They have the stickers. They actually have a whole kit you can get that's emergency preparedness kit. So it has the vinyl sticker you put on your window that will tell emergency services in case you're not home that you do have pets, how many, cats, dogs, birds, whatever, a phone number to reach you. I have 4 of these on my house. They're on all 4 corners. And I can tell you, we had a false alarm with our security system one time, and everything went off. It said that there was a fire, people breaking in. It was mass destruction, according to my alarms. And the police, when we got here, the police and firemen were here, and they were like, we were really worried because we weren't sure. They were getting ready to break into my house because they knew I had pets in here. That made me feel so good to know because of those stickers, they knew I had pets and they were going to come in and check them out. So yes. So Rachel's asking kind of along these same lines, basically a fire evacuation scenario for multiple cats. You have 4, one is very skittish. So yes, I will do the best I can. What I want to say is I think you should practice this in the middle of the night. You remember when we were kids and we ran fire drills? I think you should know what your cats are going to do. The biggest problem with fires in the middle of the night is you have this screaming alarm in the house, and that more than likely is going to scare the cats. The trainer side of me says, I want you to teach your cats to respond to this fire alarm by like going to their carrier or going to one certain spot. So the alarm goes off and there's treats in the carrier. The alarm goes off and there's churu in the carrier. If you can honestly create a positive association with that alarm and where they need to go, that would be like gold standard, premier, top line preparedness for emergencies. It's asking a lot, but it's absolutely possible to create this scenario where they hear the alarm and they go to this place where you know you would find them. So for me, that's going to be the best possible scenario, is if you can train your cats to do that. As far as the other ones, as far as you've got a couple cats and one skittish one, again, it goes back to the recall. So if you don't create a recall around the alarm, is there something you can do to get them to come to you? Where do you know their absolute, definite go-to places are going to be if they're scared? If you can get a, the recall, know where they're going to be, have the preparedness for it. And then, like I said, at the end of the day, you just got to leave things open. I have to say to you guys, I have to be honest with you guys, you have to get yourselves out. Like, I would be remiss to not say, you absolutely need to get yourself out. And I know that we want all of our kitties and all of our pets, and we can't imagine leaving our houses without them. But, in the last 6 months, a house in our neighborhood caught on fire, and a lady passed away in it. And fires are no joke. And it's not the fire, it's the smoke. And so please get yourselves out. Please, please, please. I'm here for your cats. I'm here for you. But just please keep yourselves safe, because you don't have a chance of finding your cat if you're not safe. Okay. So I don't know if that helps you with the 4. I know this is really sad and scary, but I don't want people to pass away. I don't want any of you guys to get hurt in this situation. So Nadia has a kind of related question. Are cats supposed to sense earthquakes early? My dog never even gets up during smaller ones. Isn't that funny? So the sensing of disasters is interesting. When we think about earthquakes as opposed to maybe like other natural disasters, like a tornado, or like when we heard all those cats, or all the pets took off before the tsunami, there's a climate change, there's a pressure change, there's an energy change in the world that happens before that. So when tornadoes are coming, when hurricanes are coming. So unfortunately, with earthquakes, there really isn't a whole lot of sense of them coming. There isn't usually like a climate or an energy change that I know of. So I don't know a whole lot of pets who are alerting to earthquakes. That's interesting. If you guys know any, if you're in earthquake zones, let me know. But the very few we've had here in North Carolina, my pets are like, they have no idea. That's really interesting. So Lauren's also talking about the dryer. Not sure all 3 of them would fit in there. Yeah. So that's the thing. I mean, you washer and dryer. I know it's just really scary. Last tornado warning came through. You just grabbed him in the bathroom, but yeah, that's just it. Is tornadoes are terrifying, and that's not a lot of protection at all. Excuse me. For you, I'm not sure if you have the access or the ability, but for multi-cat households, if you have to do a scenario like this, okay, tornado, hurricane, not a fire, pop-up dog crates work really, really well, especially just those cloth ones that you can fold down to nothing. They are just like paper thin, and just pop them right up and unzip them. They're much bigger than the hard carriers to try to, like, especially when your cat does the like, I'm not going in thing. So those pop-up soft-sided carriers can work really well for just having to get people moving and in a space. It's not a terrible idea to have your pets, isolated to a certain area during the night if this is something that's really, really concerning, or if you are, afraid of this going on, or if it's tornado season in your area. It's safety first. I always say, like, you don't have to be happy, you have to be safe. So keep that in mind too. You guys have got such great questions, and gosh, I hope you guys are all staying safe out there. So Auntie says, yes, the stickers are great in Mexico City. You have a lot of earthquakes. I didn't know that. That's exactly right. If you're not home, they know to go inside, and they use them. They pay attention to them, because like I said, at least here where I live, the police were ready to break into my house, and I was grateful for it. Keep in mind, yeah. Oh, so Kathleen's just saying, Yeah, you had that experience, Kathleen. It's really, really scary, and you can be overtaken by the smoke before you even realize it. So please, please, please keep yourself safe. Smoke is incredibly dangerous. Wow. Okay, Christine. Hey, girl. So your parrot is the only thing that freaks out prior to an earthquake hitting. Isn't that interesting? I wonder if there's like a more of a sensation for them. And you guys get a lot of earthquakes up there in Alaska? I had no idea. That's really, really, really scary. So Johanna said, I mentioned including items for temperature control if the power goes out and you're sheltering in place. Yeah, so tips for keeping kitties cool and warm. So, excuse me, it depends on what you've got going on. Like, so for us, we have a generator. We use a small area. Using those, so to stay warm, using those little warming pads that you can break up and, you know, like they're little hand warmers you put in your pockets or you put in your shoes. These are my favorite. We have a big, huge one of these. And I love these for just like for if pets are sick or not feeling great in the hospital, running a little low on temperature. Because if I don't have the ability to plug in a heating pad or to warm up rice socks, break up a couple of those and put them into a blanket, so not directly on your pet's skin, and give them that kind of warm space to be. Keep in mind, we always want to give them a warm and a not so warm place so that they don't get overheated. You can put warming pads on one side of the carrier. That works as well. So I really like the hand warmers and feet warmers that you break because, again, you don't need electricity like a rice sock or something. You can use a hot water bottle as well if you are going to have access to hot water. If you have the ability to boil water, hot water bottles work wonderfully. You just got to keep changing them out, but it gives them a space to be warm. Lots and lots of blankets. The good news is our pets are fairly well insulated. Now, when it comes to overheating, that's a little bit scarier. So when we don't have power, we want to lean into water. So we want to keep our pets wet and damp and cool as much as we possibly can. We want to get them in the car in the air conditioner if we have to, get them in the car in the heat if we have to, as long as we can do that safely without carbon monoxide. Keep in mind, nothing that warms off of propane or heaters should be used indoors. We always lose people every winter to someone doing that, or even post-hurricane, we lost a whole house of people because they were running a propane heater in the house and passed away from carbon monoxide poisoning. So make sure what you're using indoor is safe. And again, the biggest thing is going to be just water if you don't have access to cool air at that time. And again, keep in mind, you may need to find a shelter. So if you are in an area where you have lost power and your pets are suffering and you're like, I'm okay, but my 13-year-old dog is freezing, you may have to pack up and go to a shelter. And that goes back to, again, being so ready for these emergencies and knowing where you can go. So I hope that helps you, Johanna. So Lauren says, out of the 3 cats, only one seems to sense imminent danger with a tornado. Yeah, isn't it funny? I think mine, they pick up on our energy, I think, more. They know that something's going on because my husband and I are buzzing around, and the blaring of the TV and things like that. You've got the soft crate. Glad to hear that. So what other questions do you guys have? Yeah, Kathleen, great. If you have a second floor, make sure you have a ladder you can throw out the window. Being able to escape from the second floor, actually, to be honest, that's how the lady in our neighborhood passed away. She was upstairs and couldn't get down. I have a 1.5 story, so I don't think about that as often, but you have to have a way out. So escape ladder, whatever they cost, they're worth their weight in gold. Now, again, this can be a little bit scary. If you have a pet, it might not be something that you can get out with, but you need to get yourself out of the house. And that is honestly a fire, a hurricane, a tornado. You just have a lot better chance of finding your pet at a later time when they're microchipped, up to date, and you get yourself out and you're safe. Again, you won't be able to save your pets if you are not okay. So Rachel says she's considering getting a catch pole if a cat size one exists, so she can grab one scaredy cat. Yeah, I mean, that's not a terrible idea. That's a hard one, right? So if you were really, really worried about it, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I think the biggest problem with that is just that then they're kind of spazzing and freaking out, and now you have a spazzing, freaking out cat on a pole. But it's like I said, I mean, if it's just a matter of getting them out of the house, then that's not a terrible idea. I would really work on some operant conditioning with your scaredy cat. And, we can always work on getting some coaching into some confidence with your scaredy cat. So don't forget, we are doing Coach My Cat. We have just launched our brand new Mighty Networks platform. So for you guys that want to go hang out with cat experts and cat people and learn, you guys check that out at Coach My Cat. And you can always spend a half hour with me on a video call anytime you want to, one-on-one. We can talk through what you've got going on and how we can be specifically addressing that for you. But yeah, it's like you're saying, she might come for a recall. But yeah, former feral, my Boo Kitty's the same way. And when she's scared, she's going. And she'll fight me. And you're right. I mean, if they get a hold of you and you're bit and scratched and hurt, again, you're not in a place to help them. So these are really important things to be thinking about. These are really important ways to keep your pets safe, yourself safe. That's as big as anything else is keeping yourself safe and getting out. And then for the disasters, we have a little bit more time to be prepared for, just making sure that we have everything that we need to make it as smooth as possible, making sure we have all the supplies we need to make sure we can keep our pets safe and healthy throughout whatever. And it's like one less thing you need to be worried about. Yeah, it's a scary thing to be thinking about. Again, we're here because of you guys in California. We're worried about you. We love you. We love your cats. We want to help. Don't forget, we are offering free video coaching sessions if you're having to evacuate. If you guys were down in Texas or Louisiana that was hit, California, anywhere that anything bad is going on, we are here for you. So let's see. I hope I say this right. Is it Deepu? Look, this is not a cat. That's my pit bull. The main concern is earthquakes. How do you search and catch for your cats and put them in a carrier in the midst of a major earthquake? What if I just run and keep the doors open and they run out? Okay. So that's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen. Now, in the midst of an earthquake, I guess there's a couple different things. Because you have no warning at all, Deepu, I'm going to tell you, you shouldn't be running around in the middle of an earthquake because you need to be safe first and foremost. If you are in the middle of an earthquake running out of your house, if that's how you guys handle them, I don't know if this is true or not. I feel like the only thing I know about earthquakes is to go to like a door frame or under a table. Because you don't have any prepared, you can't be prepared for an earthquake. You have to keep yourself safe until it stops, and then your disaster response is going to come into play afterwards. So it's going to be a matter of like, okay, is my house intact and safe? Is it not, and I need to get out? A gas line broke? Okay, now I'm in emergency procedures for getting everybody out as fast as I can. I want you to keep yourself safe first, please. So whatever it is, if you run out of your house in an earthquake, I wouldn't necessarily, in the case of an earthquake, be as likely to leave the doors open as I would a fire, unless you really believe that the house is coming down. Like if you think that this is the big one and things are falling down around you, it may be the way to go. In these situations, Deepu, and again, I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry, you have to take care of you first, and then we'll worry about your kitties later. Get those microchips, keep those pictures, keep your carriers ready. But if you are having an earthquake and your life is in danger, you have to get out, okay? And then we'll find the kitties afterwards. Keep working on that recall so that you can find them no matter where they are. You guys, I'm not gonna lie, they've got GPS trackers for cats. I'm not against it. If you think your cat will wear it's a good size. They haven't worked them to be small as we want them yet. But if you think you can get that on their carrier and keep them on it, you do it, because I mean, I'm a helicopter mom. I'm all about it. It's about keeping them safe and getting them back. So Deepu just kind of mentioned when you have earthquakes before, the first thing you worry about is, of course, yeah, I can't. I mean, of course, it's like, I can't leave without them. My husband said it a million times, like, we would never leave without. And I'm like, but I don't want you to die. Please keep yourself safe. Get yourself safe. Once you know you're safe, then we'll move into emergency procedures to get our cats out, and we'll be ready for it because we are prepared for disasters. Any other questions, shoot them down there. We'll finish up here in the next minute or two. Christine, we're going to read what Christine wrote here because this looks like a good one. That's the way it went down. Oh, gosh, 7.1 in 2018. You can stay in place until it's over. don't grab the cats. Nope, the house is making, yeah, things are flying all over the place. And so that's the other thing too, right? It's like your cats are gonna get safe. They're gonna get them. Your cats are not running around looking for you. They're like, let me get somewhere safe. So chances are, especially in like a hurricane, or I'm sorry, especially in like an earthquake, they're gonna be under a bed, under a table, they're gonna be somewhere pretty safe. So they're gonna get themselves safe. In a fire, this is a worst case scenario, right? But for an earthquake, keep yourself safe. Your cats are going to do the same, and then we'll go looking for them. Do you guys have any more questions for me today? Have I hit on your answers? Karen, you're welcome. Johanna, you're very welcome. Deepu, you're welcome. You guys, I'm worried about you out there in California. I'm worried about this whole, everybody in COVID right now. We're still in hurricane season, so please take care of yourselves. Oh, I left my banner up there. Sorry about that. When you guys get a chance, if you want to, get over to Instagram and follow me at Cat Coach Becky. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook. That's how you'll know when we're doing these lives, and you'll know the topics. Also, I'm dying to hear what topics you guys want, so please let me know. If there's something you want me to talk to you guys about, it's what I'm here for. I love coaching. I love educating. I love making sure your cats have happy, healthy lives. So that's it for this week. Give all those kitty smooches for me. Send me pictures. Tag me. You're welcome, Bree. Tag me and Basepaws on Instagram and show us what you're doing, how you're disaster prepared. You know we want to see it, and at least I just want to see your kitties. So take good care. I hope everybody has a good weekend, and we'll see you again soon.